quick. When we think about foreign aid, obviously this is a topic that's been in the press a lot recently. When I personally think of foreign aid, I think about, I don't know, I want to help education, I want to help poverty, etc. But I've got to say, John, there's been some quite interesting examples of how aid's been spent, isn't there? Tell me more. El Salvador, what's going on?
Yeah, so £2.6 million of UK taxpayers' money was spent on helping people to lose weight in El Salvador, and a few other examples were £200,000 spent on one-to-one coaching sessions in India to stop people smoking. This is all at a time when, just last week or the week before, there was a £36 billion tax hike because our own NHS needs more money. So when we're sending this much money overseas, and the aims can be very laudable, of course they can, taken in their individual context, but when we've got problems with our own NHS that apparently need a £36 billion tax hike to fix, we ought to be looking at ways that we can save money too, without asking taxpayers to pick up the bill.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Also, what's been going on at the Department of Transport?
So the Department of Transport have recorded losses of £113 million over the last year, and now that is actually a reduction of about 20 million from the previous year, so they're losing less money, which is great, but 113 million is again, quite a chunk of change, and we're looking at stuff like £30 million of uncollected tickets on the Dartford crossing, so taxpayers will be upset at that, but motorists might cheer that. And much more besides. But when we're starting to look at wasteful spending now, the political conversation is starting to move into maybe your and mine territory, Michelle. We're seeing Keir Starmer in his 14,000-word essay for the Fabian Society. He was talking about wasteful spending, he was talking about value for money, and at Labour conference today they were talking about setting up an office for value for money. So, you know, left and right, lots of people are now starting to realise that as spending goes up... An
office for value for money? Do you reckon they'll have an actual office, or do you think they'll be able to remotely work to try and save some money in the first instance? That would be interesting.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how it's that different from the National Audit Office, but details TBC, I suppose. But, you know, that people are starting to talk about it on both the left and the right of the political spectrum is a good thing. It means that people care about value for money. It means that people value... particularly those on the lowest incomes and the burden that's being placed on them with the national insurance hikes that we saw just the other week.
And do you think there's enough transparency in terms of how tax money is spent? Like, so, for example, if someone's sitting and watching this and they hear these conversations, and for me, it often seems very opaque where money goes once it's out the pay packet. You kind of know vaguely, yeah, you're going to pay a bit of health and a bit of this and a bit of that, but I really think there's not enough transparency. What's your view?
It's got better, I must say. You know, every year with your tax statement now at the end of the year, there's a pie chart showing you where your money went, broken down by different government department. But again, there's not much detail within that, but it is a step forward. And on spending transparency more specifically, there's lots of data on local government, overseas aid, these kind of things. So we do have access to quite a lot of data. But obviously much more can be done when it comes to actually assessing whether it was value for money or not. And I think that, you know, some of the conversations that are going on in Westminster right now are about that specific element. Value for money, is the money being wasted? And that's a positive step forward again.
Yeah, and I don't know why it's taken them so long to actually look at outcomes, because we can all spend money on stuff. And one of the challenges, or one of the problems, frustrations I've always had, say with the foreign aid budget, is that, yes, I absolutely think that you should support other countries that need it in ways that are effective. But my problem has always been it's a spend target. So come the end of, like, the budget end, people are going to be frantically going, oh, God, I've got this X amount left in the budget, I've not spent it. It's enshrined in law, the spend targets. Then you end up just spending money, A, to make sure that you're ticking the boxes, but B, perhaps not looking at effective outcomes as much as you ought to be.
I think that's right. I think there was a story just last year about... well, not the majority, but a big chunk of the overseas aid budget was spent in the last few months of the year in order just to meet the target. So it's the wrong incentives put in place. And, you know, we get supporters getting in touch with us all the time saying their local councils only seem to do roadworks as soon as the financial year's coming to an end. And, you know, you get all these stories about public sector bodies shoveling money out the door just as budgets are being announced in order to, so that they get the same amount next year. What maybe should be, we should change the incentive structure so that if staff in the public sector are delivering things more efficiently or saving money, then they can receive, a small bonus based on that. Try and find savings within their organisation.
Incentivising effective spending.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stop talking common sense.
Well, and the staff within the public sector are probably the best people to tell you where those efficiencies are.
And it's very easy, isn't it, to spend somebody else's money, that is for sure. John OConnell, thank you very much.